You are locked in to the Cash Flow Show with Dave and Nate, the best place to navigate how to achieve capital appreciation with commercial acquisitions. Here's your hosts, Dave SEYMOUR and Nathan Amaral.
I still can't get over it.
Checka.
I've been laughing the whole time.
I've been singing the word to the whole intro. It's perfectly, man.
I mean,
For sure.
yeah, but it makes sense, right?
Sushi.
I mean, sushi.
It's great.
Sushi.
Friday. I was telling. Hi, for everybody listening. Just so
Yeah.
you know what we're giggling at, like a couple of little schoolboys. Friday is my favorite day of the week.
Yeah.
I get to hang out with my main man, my Monsignor Squeeze, Nathan Amaral, right there. Right.
Yep,
I get to hang out with him for a half hour, 45.
Yep.
Little preparation for the show before we rock and roll.
Yep.
And then on Friday I get sushi.
Yep.
And it's just a nice end to the week. Maybe a little cuddle on the couch with
Family
my
time.
bride.
Some family time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Family time.
Yeah.
Set up the Lego activities for the weekend.
How
Stuff like
is
that,
how is your Legos though? You were at like 1,000 or 10,000 pieces or Coliseum. How's the Coliseum?
10,000 pieces for the Coliseum. It's good. We've done the base level.
Wow.
We've got the first pond there, and now we're working on some other stuff.
So can you do me a favor? Can you take a video or pictures so I can share? Everybody wants to know. We want to know. I want to see. We can share next week on the show.
I actually have it on a time lapse.
You have? Oh, so you've been recording?
No, I don't.
Oh, I was gonna.
That's so dumb.
That's too much.
That would be the dumbest thing under the sun.
That's so dumb.
Like some plonker would set up a time lapse for no.
They
Why
do
would
that,
you even
but
ask me that question,
people
Nathan?
do that though. It's like a thing now.
Yeah, they do.
It's like a
It's
thing.
not my thing.
It's like a thing.
Mate, you know why I do it? I was talking about, if I'm repeating myself, tough. That's how cool I am. I can say the same things over and over again and people listen. A little ego today. You know why I do? I think I shared this before. The reason I do it is it's like there's no there's thought to it, but it's not. I don't have to like tax myself.
True.
It's peaceful. It's
Yeah.
like a peaceful process.
Yeah. You don't have
And
to.
I know the result is going to be cool.
Right.
So,
Well, I guess it's like Legos the way it used to be. Today it would be like selfies and time lapses and Instagram along the way, live stream.
Yeah.
It's like, why can't I just do what it initially?
Give me a link. Give me a like, not a link. Give me a link or a like. A thumbs up.
like.
I don't know what.
Yeah.
Give me a like. Give me one of those.
Give me a like. Yeah.
Screw it. Give me two.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right. It's like we can't even just enjoy doing the thing that you buy in the box anymore. It's got to come with all these extra social implications.
Well, I got the fish tanks going again too.
Oh, really? The ones in the basement?
Well, yeah, I got rid of all the big ones because I was traveling. I couldn't do it, but,
okay.
Robert
Yeah.
broke down his 29-gallon.
Whoa.
So you couldn't let him throw it away.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Set up a nice little 29 in the basement last weekend. Couple of angel fish.
Nice.
Nice little plecostomus. Put a nice pleco in there.
Pleco?
It's looking good.
Never heard of it.
Look it up. There's so many beautiful plecostomus fish. Pleco. Pleco. Pleco.
Pleco.
You can share a picture of a pleco. We have a yellow striped pleco.
Oh, wow. It's
cool
actually a plecostomus.
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 Yeah, pleco.
Interesting.
Yeah, it looks like a dinosaur. Anyway, all right, that's enough of that silliness. What's going on, man? How are you? Do the thing.
I was showing the plecos.
Let me see them again. Those are some nice fish right there.
Yeah, those are some plecos right there.
Oh,
those are the plecos.
Yeah, some Africans.
Really?
Nice. That's the one we've got right there. The one with the yellow spots on it. It's not a disease.
Okay.
That's a nice fish right there. Nice
Really?
fish. Yeah, bottom feeders. They like algae. Yeah.
How deep do they go?
Do a whole show on tropical fish if you want.
No, I don't think we should do that.
You know what I do? I turn all the lights off.
Yeah.
Let the water bubble in the background. And now, check this out. Wow.
Okay, I'm listening.
Kiss my plecostomus.
No, you're like, turn the lights down low, bring out the pasta, you know?
No, Nathan, no.
That's what it sounds like.
Meditation,
okay, yeah.
right?
Yeah. Oh, that's true, yeah. That's true. Frank is saying it's time. Frank says it's time to make money.
So, Frankie Descoli, right? My man was the best, baddest butcher ever to walk the floors of Stop and Shop.
Really?
Frankie Descoli. Frankie and I used to chase bad guys together.
Really?
Shoplifters. If I needed some muscle, Frankie would come out and chase them with his chopper.
So what? He used to work at Stop and Shop?
Yeah,
he must know Gary. He must know Gary. Gary. I forgot the guy's name.
All right, whatever. He knows it. All right, let's get into it. So, do the thing first of all. Hey, Frankie, I miss you. I love you. You mad Italian.
You mad
Tommy Sousa.
Look at
it. Tommy Sousa, another Stop and Shop bad boy right
there.
There's
everybody from Stop and Shop. Come on in.
Yeah, Stop and Shop, fire department. Yeah, nobody would.
Welcome everybody to the Cash Flow Show. So good to have you here. We are your hosts, Dave Seymour and Nathan Amaral, and we're here to show you a new opportunity. Well, it's not really new, but a way to transfer your wealth, to transform it, to increase it, to grow it, taking it from maybe take it from the old stale days of IRAs and savings accounts and to put it into a commercial real estate. So with that said, today we're going to talk about single family properties versus Freedom Venture. And let's dive deep into that today.
I had this. It's funny you bring it up, right? Because it's always topical, as they say. I have an investor who had an opportunity to go into a portfolio of 100 single family houses. Okay. So there's an investor who's buying 100 single family houses. And before I even get into this, first of all, for those of you listening, pay attention. I don't tear somebody else down to build us up. Right? That's just not cool. It's always education, understanding what's the good, what's the bad, what's the up, what's the down, how can I win, how can I lose, right? Let's just use some intelligence. I obviously have a preference to what we do, but that being said, this guy was looking at 100 single family homes. Now, to have a portfolio of 100 doors, us New Englanders, we can't buy 100 single family houses, right? Put a tenant in there and rent it and it be a good deal because, the cost of a single family house, it doesn't work. Even if you go into, Haverhill and out to Springfield and some of the other areas where maybe it's a little more affordable, it still doesn't make sense. Yeah. So where is that portfolio of 100 doors? Well, this one was down in Georgia, right? So you can go down to Georgia. Go down to Georgia.
Hey, Georgia.
Georgia. You can go down there and you can buy, a bread and butter house for maybe 50, 75 grand. Yeah. You can rent it for maybe $1,000 a month. True. And, you've got a low paying, but a consistently, hopefully paying cash flowing asset. So, first of all, do you want to invest your money in Georgia? Yes, no, it's up to you. But then it comes to what we call the economies of scale. And for those of you who like to take some notes when Nate and I are banging ideas around, this is probably a noteworthy moment. The economies of scale. If you invest in 100 single family houses, well, you now have 100 heating units.
That's true.
You have 100 roofs. You have 100 septic systems or, whatever the case may be. Everything is now multiplied out individually by 100. You've got 100 insurance policies. Yeah. Everything is duplicated out. Now, no right or wrong, just left or right. When we look at a apartment complex, we are dealing very, very frequently with the economies of scale in our favor. Okay.
Let's compare that to 100 units, though. 100 doors.
Right,
yeah.
Right. If you've got you got 100 doors, and guess what? One of those single family houses, the tenant stops paying on that house, or the tenant moves out, or the tenant trashes it. Guess what? That house is now out of the game. Right. It's going to take you longer to turn it over or turn it around, right, and make it rentable again than it does with a tenant that moves out of an apartment. So that's another. That's another positive for the way we look at it. But the other side of it is this: is if I've got a 100-unit complex, I'm only dealing with one roof. I might be dealing with two or three heating and air conditioning systems to cover the whole place. Depending on its structure and how new the property is. And if 10 tenants move out, if I buy it right, which I always do, I'm still in a positive cash flowing position. So again, there's no right or wrong. It's just left or right. But I was trained on the economies of scale. It always made sense to me. But that being said, if I could buy 100 single family houses at 50 cents on the dollar, I might do that deal as well, right? It all
Right.
depends on the numbers going forward. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. That's kind of the way I look at it. What
Yeah.
about you, brother? I mean, what's your 10 cents?
Yeah,
2
well,
cents?
I feel like we're brothers from different fathers, but
Sometimes, huh?
because we basically kind of grew up pretty much at the same time. We both come from the same real estate background of single family houses, and you did a heck of a lot more flipping than I did in rehabbing. But when it came to commercial real estate and getting into apartments, we kind of grew up in the same arena. And it just made sense to me when that concept of economies of scale, it said, yeah, instead of having all these like single family houses, 100 roofs per se, why not just have like 2 roofs or 3 roofs, however many roofs you need for 100 units, right? So that alone made a lot of sense. And but it was scary in the beginning because single family houses, right? You could do it by yourself or you could do it with a bank. Then when you're going for something bigger, it can freak some people out. They're like, "Oh, how do I do this?" So, but yeah, I totally agree. It's a lot more easier to manage too. I mean, it's all in
Well,
one.
that's exact. You got
one
it
area.
right there. I mean,
Yeah.
Management alone. So 100 single family houses spread over maybe a 5-mile radius.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
Think of the cost of maintenance going from one property to another, where we're in a different scenario where we have 100 under one roof, or 50 and 50, or even 25 under 4 different roofs, right? To make up our 100. And maintenance is all centrally located. We can also put property management lease up office right in one place, right? So we can have our leasing agents work right out of the facility.
Yeah.
We can give our tenants a community experience that you obviously can't give them in the single family arena, right?
Yeah.
So it's an interesting debate. It really is. But me, brother. I'm sold on apartment complex.
Exactly, and it's so much easier for management because everybody's in one community. I like how you brought up the community like ecosystem. So if you have 100 single families and they're in a 5-10 mile radius, all of those people are not neighbors, right? They're not going to really know each other. But in a complex, in a big apartment complex, big building, then guess what? You can create the vibe. There could be a community swimming pool or whatever's going on, tennis court, basketball court. There could be a bunch of stuff going on. Yeah. And it's so much easier to maintain for maintenance and keep everything under one roof. Yeah.
Should we maybe show our friends what 120 units looks like financially? What do you think? Is that a good segue right
I
there?
think that's a great segue. Why don't we do that?
I'm going to use it. There we go. That's funny. Man.
That's a great idea.
It feels so cheesy sometimes, don't we? It's cheesy, but it's easy. You know
we
what
do.
I'm saying?
I think maybe they didn't know it was coming. So what do you got here? We got 120 units for the deal of the week. Yes.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. So this is interesting. My partner Walter, as I say every single week, is the wizard behind the curtain with over 25 years experience in the Gulf Coast region of Florida, just developing assets. I mean, that's what he's done his career. And it's interesting because of that reputation, the pocket listing, the off-market listing is really where all of the true value is. I had a call yesterday with an investor who's coming into the fund, and it was interesting. He said, I'm not necessarily, 100% behind the whole fund concept. He said, I was reading in the newspapers online. Jesus. I was reading online.
You just dated yourself.
I just dated myself, right? I was reading in the news. I was reading in the funny papers. He said, I was reading online and the information that's out there that, people are paying, companies are paying, investors are paying way too much for these apartment complexes, right? They're coming in and they're just so overpriced that the deals that do get done have no yield on them. Like there's no money to be made in them. And I always get a wry smile when I hear that because they're not in the trenches. They don't understand the business. And I just explained to this investor last night when we were on the call, myself and my CEO, Walter. I just said to him, I said, here's what's interesting is you're absolutely right. You're right. They are paying too much for them. But here's why. Because there is so much institutional money that is looking for anything. I mean, anything that's better than maybe 4 or 5% yield, that they will buy whatever, right? Whatever. And what's so interesting is to see our business model, come to fruition, because I'm not out there looking for a 3 or a 4%, 5% return. We don't do those deals.
Yeah.
Because where we swim with the fishes is the off-market stuff. We swim with the smaller unit sizes, 20 to 140 units is our buy box. And because of that, we're not in competition with anybody. I was just looking at our numbers. We have $37.5 million worth of LOIs out right now.
Wow.
$37.5 million worth of acquisitions, which represents approximately 337 doors across 6 or 7 different complexes. And if we take them all down, we're going to take them all down based off of our buy box and the numbers that we put out to our investors.
Yeah.
This one is in the acquisitions funnel. This one is in Greater Pensacola. Now, Walter is in Fort Myers.
Yeah.
And we have 2 deals right now that we're working in Pensacola. Pensacola is probably an 8.5-hour ride from Walter.
Yeah.
So the question is how the hell did Walter know that these deals were even there? Right?
Exactly. Yeah.
That's how far the reputation reaches, which is it's just a tool that nobody else has. They just don't have the abilities that we do. So this one here, 120 unit, fantastic unit mix, 41 bed, 1 bath, 62 twos, and then 23 bedroom, 2.5 bath units. This one's got negotiations begun at around 12.5.
So I want to interject here.
Yeah.
I want to interject with a question. So you have here acquired for 12.5, right? Let's answer a few questions that I know have come up in the past. So what does this mean, Dave? Does this mean that you have to get 12.5 million in cash to buy this property? Could you break that part down?
Yeah, for sure. So we never over leverage our assets when we buy them. So our buy box, and this one fits our buy box, has already been approved by our first position lending partners, right? So we'll put in this example, we'll put a commercial loan on this for about $9 million. We'll raise $4 million, somewhere around there, another 50,000-60,000 for some light rehab on this property. So we're not raising 12 million. We're always using bank financing because it's the cheapest.
Okay.
The more bank money I use, right? The more bank money I use, the better the cash flow for the investor. But what we don't do is go into an 80-20 leverage position, because if the occupancy and the rent income drops to say 90-90, then it's not making any money.
So
it won't work.
So what? Just break that down. When you say we don't get into an 80-20, what does that mean?
So an 80-20 means is we won't go to the bank and allow them to give us 80% of the purchase price. We keep the bank at 65% of the purchase price.
Okay.
And we bring 35% of the rest of the purchase price to the table in cash. That does 2 things. It always puts us in a really good loan to value position, number 1. And be quite frank with you, Nathan, number 2, it allows people to invest with us.
Right.
Right? It allows people to come in and fill that gap position, we call it, funding the gap between what the bank will lend and the purchase price. It's just such a strong strategy to weather anything that comes down the pike. Anything.
Yeah.
Market correction, tenancy challenges. We don't stay awake at night wondering or worrying, right? We go into every one of these with confidence. So in this one here, 12.5 to buy it, we'll get a loan on it for maybe 9 million plus another maybe, 9.1, I'll say, 50,000 in reserves, closing costs, that kind of stuff.
Right.
This deal, it's so good. It's in receivership. Okay,
Okay.
it's a you know an out of the public eye deal, for want of a better term. Nobody else knows about it.
Mm-hmm.
It's in receivership. They don't want everybody knowing about it. They just want somebody who's going to come to the table and quietly execute on the deal, and that's us.
Mm-hmm.
So the only upside or push on this is very, very minimal. This is almost a core asset rather than a core plus asset for us, meaning it's cash flowing quite nicely now. We don't see a huge push on it for repairs. It is a beautiful property. It's almost an A minus property rather than a B property, which we would usually buy. It's a nicer property, nicer facility. We'll allocate maybe 50,000 for minor improvements, just upgrade some facade and signage. Where we're really going to be able to push the numbers to get the average cash on cash return of 12.2, 12.3.
Mm-hmm.
Where we're really going to be able to bring some power to this deal is the fact that we're going to put our own property management team in there. And that's where we get the value component, is to reduce expenses, because they're running a wee bit high right now, we might say. So, to execute on this plan for us, as you can see, the average cash on cash for the investor targets out at 12.28. The rate of the money working over time, right, when they get their money back after the 5-7 year hold, we target that out to about 17.6, 17% on the capital. And then the equity multiple that we talk about every week comes in at a target of 1.85. So for the investor who puts in $1 million into this deal, when the deal ends, they get their $1 million back plus 850,000 is what we're targeting for them over the life of the investment. So it's what I call a backbone investment. It's solid. It goes into the portfolio and it just churns out cash. That's what it's designed to do.
So what
again,
kind
just
of
putting our property management in place.
what kind of person would typically be investing, in the fund for this type of property? Like who's that type of person that this normally appeals to?
Yeah, a great question. And again, I'll just refer back to the conversation I had yesterday, because I always ask every investor that before they come through. They do an entrance interview with myself or one of the management team prior to committing capital. But here's who this is for. This is for the investor who understands that two things. First of all, commercial real estate has been the most proven investment for the past 20 years. It's outperformed everything. It always has, it always will, apartment house investing, number one. Number two is for the investor who wants to diversify. They don't want it all in 401k. They don't want it all in stocks. They don't want it all in the bond market. It's for the investor who wants higher yield, but lower risk. I'll say that again, a higher yield, a higher return with a lower risk. And it's somebody who's comfortable with what's called an illiquid investment, because when the money is put into the fund, it will work for the life of the fund. It's not a knee-jerk reaction where somebody says, oh my God, I want my money back.
Yeah.
So it's not for everybody. It's also only available to accredited investors. $200,000 a year or more as an individual, $300,000 as a family or family unit. But the $1 million in net worth is where most people qualify, because they're kind of in my age bracket. You know what I mean? 45 to 65. They're concerned about their retirement. They want to build wealth to the finish line, and they also want to create some legacy for the next generation. So that's my avatar. That's my ideal investor.
Yeah.
They don't have silly expectations of, Tesla stock going up 289%.
I was just going to say GameStop, Tesla. Yeah. So, and also,
right.
and also
for mature. It's
right.
For mature investors.
Yeah, mature.
Yeah.
But
mature,
also this is for people who maybe have a bunch of money sitting in like an IRA and they're not happy with what they're getting and for results on their numbers as well.
I said, you're going to appreciate this.
What is that?
I said to a guy on a call this week, and I said to him, where is your investment capital located, right? Where are you going to move your money? Where are you going to move your money from? I said, what position is it in? And he goes, overly liquid. That's what he said. It's overly liquid.
Overly liquid.
What he meant by that was it's sitting in the bank.
Yeah.
And so, right, I'm in a position where it's so hard right now to find something to put it into that gives me confidence. He said, I just wanted to, go through the interview process with you, meet you. He said, I'm already committed to investing.
Yeah.
He said, this is just a cherry on top of the cake. He said, I want my money in real solid assets. He said, because sitting in the bank, right, it's horrible. I found an article this week about Wall Street in the sense of what they've been looking for. Yeah. And I'll read from the article. You don't have to pull it up, Nate.
Okay. All right.
This absolutely blew me away.
Yeah.
The search for yield, and when we talk about yield in finance, we're talking about, returns.
Returns, yeah.
Is 10% a good return? Is 6% a good return? Is 4%, right? Everybody has their own look at it. Mm-hmm. Most people have been in the bond market, government bonds, they know it's a lower yield, but hey, it's safe and secure. That's what they think, right? Yeah. Well, unfortunately, we've had this discussion. A government bond right now is paying less than 1%, and inflation's probably around 3.5%, 4% right now.
Yeah.
So you're losing 2.5% on your money every time you put it in a secure bond like that. Mm. Well, the other side of the bond market is what they call the junk bond market, right? And junk bonds are bonds that are sold by riskier companies who potentially are going to default, right, on their payments. Mm. But investors, Wall Street, would go to these junk bonds for incredible yields. I mean, the yield on these junk bonds at their height was anywhere between 21, 22%.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So, they go to the junk bond market saying, don't worry about it. If we lose a little here, we're going to win a lot.
It's much more riskier. I think it's a good point to bring up. It's much more riskier in that, selection of a security. It's much more riskier.
Right. I got some numbers here. This is from a Bloomberg article, right? Mm-hmm. First of all, the bond market has hit its all-time, the junk bond market has hit its all-time record low, below 4%. It's never been there. This is the high yield now.
This is high.
Right?
Yeah, this is high.
High yield is now below 4%.
Oh my goodness.
The article says here, lower yield should encourage more speculative grade companies to tap the market after raising more than $7 billion last week. January was a record month for sales with $52 billion priced, and a year-to-date volume stands at about $60 billion. So for those of you who don't live and breathe finance kind of the way a freaky dude like I do now, understand that they're chasing less than 4% right now because they've run out of options.
Yeah.
They got nowhere else to go. And it's so frustrating because you and I know, I just showed you, targeted 12% cash on cash returns.
Right.
17.5% targeted IRRs on money.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, I think there's going to be more.
Frustrating.
Yeah. And I think there's going to be more conversations from the institutions, right? So the bigger, some of these you're bringing up are institutional investors where they are going to look for partnering companies, partnering firms like Freedom Venture, partnering funds to say, hey, we have this capital, we need to put it somewhere that we can trust. Because they're not always dabbling in, this sector, right? If they're in bonds or even going more riskier junk bonds, they're not always in this sector. So you're right, it is frustrating because you're like, hey, green flag, I have the solution here. Check this out, right? Here is a great solution. They're just not as often familiar with it,
I just, you get these institutional types, I'm just going to go 0 degrees. They got the ego to match the expensive suit. But now, I'm just empowered every single time to slap them with respect.
With numbers?
And say, look, even your junk bond market is performing less than the rate of inflation.
Right.
You dinosaur, you absolute donkey. Right? Yeah. Get off of doing the same thing and getting the same results, and try something a little bit different. Definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. We are a solution. We are an absolute solution to that problem. But here's the thing, Nate. It's real easy. You gotta want help.
That's so true.
If you don't want the help, I'm not going to help you.
Yeah.
But if you ask for the help, we can help you. It really is that simple.
In addition to that, timing. Don't wait for when it's too late. Don't wait for 10 years from now. Don't think, I'm going to do this, maybe when I retire. No, do it now. Start asking the questions now. Become financially responsible with your finances now so that you can live better later. That's
do you
huge.
remember the saying, when would now be a good time to start?
Yes.
Remember?
I remember that.
Right?
Yes.
Yes or yes. When would now be a good time to start? But it's kind of.
You agree, don't you?
Yeah. You know what's so funny about it though? People will do one or two things. They'll either make progress or they make excuses. One or the other.
That's so true.
You know?
That's very true.
It really is that simple sometimes.
Yeah.
And I'll kind of like look at it this way as well. For some reason, there is another pandemic going on. And that's the pandemic of starting something and not finishing it.
Yeah.
That's another pandemic.
Yeah.
Right? I'm going to change my financial future this year.
Right.
That's the start. And then it stops right there.
Yeah.
Right? They don't finish. Right?
So true.
We can take them over the finish line. But again, man, you got to want it. It's not for everyone. I don't need your money, but your money needs somewhere to go to get a higher yield than the challenges it's facing out there right now.
Absolutely. Best place to go, everybody. The best place to go for everybody for that is freedomventure.com. You can go check out a lot of the stuff Dave has talked about today and getting started, getting on board with the team. Dave, just correct me here. They'll jump on a phone call with one of your team members and walk them through financial snapshot.
Information. Talk to one of the team members. Let's see if you are a fit. Not everybody is. And you can even go old school and just pick up the phone and call 781-922-4418, right?
Yeah.
You can contact us that way as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So, guys, if you have any questions...
Look at that. Live from the UAE.
I told you.
There's a little...
There's
a little capital out there that needs to go to
I told you the show is growing to multiple countries. We're expanding.
I've got 3 international calls this week, Nathan.
Awesome.
3 international calls this week through our institutional partners. So,
awesome.
There's a lot of money in the Arabic nations. There's a lot of money overseas in Europe, in Asia that cannot get the kind of yields that we offer. It's just not out there. So we are the center of the universe when it comes to higher yields and a lower risk profile. But you got to reach out and ask for it, man.
Absolutely.
It's as simple as that.
Yeah, so everybody get over to freedomventure.com, maybe jump on the phone, fill out a form, get started, see what options are available to you. And for us, we will see you next week, same time, same place.
That's right. Don't forget Valentine's Day.
Don't forget
Valentine's Day. Take care of your honey. Right?
Take care of your honeys.
Bye, guys.
All right. Have a great weekend. See you.